what factor. I mean, prior to Google, now I could be way off, but prior to Google, I know of no business ever that didn't have a telephone except businesses that existed before the telephone existed. Am I right? I mean, Michael, this was a real paradigm shift in how we do business. The company with no phone number went on to be one of the largest tech companies in the world. So I guess after 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they could actually afford a phone. I don't know. I just remember I spent the whole day back in like early 2000. Something had happened and I really needed to talk to somebody at Google. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I didn't know that until I spent all day trying. Okay, so folks on YouTube, hi. Sorry for the bumpy start. Glad you're still there. If you're there, I cannot see the chat box. I'm really going to have that, try to have that resolved on a permanent basis by Monday. I can, of course, see the chat box over on the go-to side, but I'm blind to you guys at the moment on YouTube, and I will get it fixed some way, somehow. All right, let me give you these numbers from around the world real quick, because we're going to have to kind of boogie-woogie on through this day because, man, I got some stuff going on. Here in the U.S., cash markets, okay, we'll talk futures in a moment. The Dow is currently down 62 points. NASDAQ currently down 18 points. S&P 500 down 2.25, and the Russell 2000 down almost 6 points. So, yeah, it's kind of a quiet day. It is all red, but they've got no movers and no shakers in the bunch. Crude oil in our commodity basket, on the other hand, is up 51 cents, which is 0.75%, trading 67.58 last. Gold regained some of what was lost yesterday, trading 1348.30 last, which puts it up $6.40 on the day, which is almost 0.5%. Let's go to Asia. Color of the day in the U.S., red, red, and more red. Asia, we've got a mixed bag. The Nikkei was positive at the close, up 0.5%. They added 118 points today. The Shanghai, on the other hand, lost 20 points, which put it down a little over 0.5%. And the Hang Seng down 23 points at the close, which for the Hang Seng, it's not a lot. How much? I'll tell you. 0.07%. Last but not least, here comes Europe to save the day with green, green, and even more green. The FTSE is up 6 points at the close. The DAX was up 27, and the CAC was up almost 6 points. Not a mover, not a shaker in the house. In fact, I think the Asian markets, the Nikkei, we had a little over 0.5% gain, and on the Shanghai, a little over 0.5% loss. This is a pretty quiet Friday. So, with that said, the only other thing I want to say is Trump called Comey an untruthful slimeball. Were you present when this happened, Michael?
I'm sure I was present, but I didn't see it.
Were you out of the room? Yeah, I don't know. Miami could cease to exist in our children's lifetime. Here's how the city is trying to save itself. Are you up with this? Oh, Miami is racing against time to keep up with sea level rise. Now that must be because of the global warming. Now the ice caps are melting, and so the beaches in Miami are getting flooded. Is that? When the flooding is really bad, water doesn't just fill the streets outside Manaloa Pedraza's house, it bubbles up through a shower drain. Pedraza lives in Shorecrest, a northern Miami neighborhood that faces flooding so regularly it happens even when it doesn't rain. All it takes to fill the streets to knee-high depth on these days is a full moon. The flood comes up through storm drains, making it impossible to navigate without encountering the water, which is mixed with sewage and whatever else it picked up along the way. Were you aware of this problem, Michael? This is the first I've heard of it.
I was not. Yeah, it's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, during a visit to Pedraza's neighborhood, I walk only where the water, likely filled with fecal bacteria, won't rise above my waterproof boots. I'm lucky that day. Pools cover parts of the street, but at least I can walk the area without soaking my feet. This is nothing, Pedraza says in Spanish. Sometimes it comes all the way up to the house. The sunny day flooding, as it's known, is consistent enough that you can look at a calendar and a tide chart to plan a trip around it. High tides, caused by interactions between the sun, moon, earth, and oceans, are behind the flooding. I visited during what are often the highest tides of the year, known as king tides, and of course that's the gentleman who wrote this article. Miami is kind of the poster child for a major city in big trouble. Jeff Goodall, the author of The Water Will Come, Rising Seas, Sinking Cities, and the Remaking of the Civilized World. Beyond the damage to homes, roads, and other infrastructure, the flooding also threatens drinking water and plant life. Ultimately, of course, it means large parts of the city could become permanently uninhabitable. That means the rest of the U.S. should be paying close attention to how Miami handles its struggle against sea level rise in coming years. It could provide a window into the future of other large coastal urban areas. Netherlands have been holding back the oceans for decades and is exporting its knowledge to cities such as New Orleans, but the Dutch have been building on land reclaimed from the sea. I guess that whole finger in the dike didn't work. In Miami, it's a different situation. Low-lying neighborhoods in Miami, nearby Miami Beach, were built up decades ago. They weren't developed with the assumption that seas would rise over time. In some places, buildings and roads are being raised or moved. In others, natural features like mangroves, reefs, and wetlands are being restored. Those are the kind of changes that might be enough to keep much of Miami above water for at least a few decades. Planning longer term is trickier. You know, that would be spooky to walk out and see that it had not rained, but that your streets were flooded. And you had to go to work in waiter boots. They've really kept this a secret. I never heard of this before. All right, Michael's going to pop in here and give us a recap of everything that happened. I want to look at the Bitcoin chart here just real quick. And
it's up again today.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote an article the other night. We've been talking about that sell-off on the S&P, and I said I think what we'll read down the road is how Bitcoin led the equity markets out of the abyss. Although it's not really shaped, because we've not had that pullback in the S&P yet, but Bitcoin does seem to be. Whoa! What chart is this? Pray tell. BTC. Bitcoin. Oh, all right. This must be. There we go. Now we got it. This is a 30-minute chart. $1,000 in 30 minutes is what the headlines say. My chart doesn't validate that, but I guess it could have happened between maybe like, I don't know where they're measuring it from. If you go out to a daily chart, it's like a blip. Daily. This is what everybody's all excited about right here on daily chart. But if you go back to that 30-minute chart, it is a really big deal. The fact that we took out that high yesterday and held
closed above it.
And held on a pullback. That, if I look at the horizontal line on my cursor, if you can see it, I'm right at the top of that parabolic spike. And then if you look right, you'll see support, support, right where we found resistance. That bodes well. There's an old saying in the business, if it looks like a W, trade it like a W. Okay, this is not a capital W, but we've all seen a W before. Where does it take us from here? Only time will tell. What are we at? 8,100? That the price you see?
Yeah, 81 and a quarter.
81 and a quarter. Okay. All right. Well, let me scooch this out of the way. And
yeah, 81 and a quarter right now.
Okay. And I will turn it over to you. Got to see a man about a Keurig. And YouTube is up and running. Yes. Oh, where's my little thing? Yeah, it says streaming. Okay, so all's well that ends well. Okay. All right. I'm probably about 3 minutes, so you don't have to go slow. And I'm sure you got lots to talk about.
Yeah.
People love you. You got that melodious. Well, how did somebody put it in the part? It was a partner's workshop. One night when you weren't there, it was I'm going to kick back to the mellow sounds of Mikey B or something. It was like you were like a jazz, because you got that smooth voice. It's very nice. You could do voiceovers. You could do cartoons.
You can do all that. All that, and then.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You know what my wife wants to do?
What does your wife want to do, Dwayne?
She wants me to get out of the house.
Okay.
She is potentially going to buy one of these little trailers, like you would, like a little Airstream that you would no, like an Airstream like you would tow on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
that
put you in the trailer?
So that I have a place to go to work every day, and then at a certain time agreed upon, I can punch out and actually spend a few minutes in this other thing that I call a life. So I don't foresee that working, but I'll be climbing out the window at night trying to get down to my office. But see, the problem is
you're doing it all on your iPad.
In our neighborhood. I didn't take my iPad, my latest iPad. I was listening to some podcasts one night, and I accidentally bumped it, and it fell off the table, and it broke the headphone jack. No, it broke was it the power cord? I guess it was, yeah, the power cord. It like snapped it off in there. And it fell at just such an angle. I mean, and so I took it to the genius at the Apple store, and he goes, "Uh-oh." I'm like, no, don't say uh-oh.
That's what please. I said.
Don't say uh-oh.
I'm not a genius.
How about you go take it in back, you work on it, then you say uh-oh. He goes, okay. So about 5 minutes later, he comes back out. I go, and? He goes, uh-oh. Oh, man. Come on, you're a genius. It says so on your name tag. He goes, yeah, but I'm not a miracle worker. He goes, the iPad's designed not to be taken apart. The iPhone's not supposed to be taken apart, but most of us have figured out how to do it. And we've bought batteries cheap from Amazon and replaced them and blew up the whole phone. For one of to save $20 on a battery, you blow up a $600 phone. Nice. This guy's got a YouTube video. 5 minutes, change your battery. Okay, so let me ask you, why is the video 45 minutes long? That should have been a clue right there. Because 4 hours later, we were still trying to do it. But anyway, let me run. You got work to do, and I'll be right back. Except I don't see your charts yet.
I didn't take them yet.
Would you?
Messing around.
Could you?
I'm doing it right now.
You're a good man.
Here we go.
All right. Thanks.
And
1,
got it.
2, 3, 5. Oh, there it is. Alrighty. Oh, and I still think for the YouTube guys, I have to drag it over here, so I will. And I'm gonna hit mute, and I'll see you in a few.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 13th day of April, 2018. Let's see. Okay. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. Right here where it says sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trial, user indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be brought to, let me do it over here. I try to keep these open so it doesn't register a hit when we go to look at the, whatever the statistics are. But anyway, it'll bring you to this page. And on this page, all we ask for is your email, your oh, that's right. All we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay? Do not forget to hit that confirmation link, because if you don't hit it, then we don't know you took the trial. Okay? So it's imperative that you hit that confirmation link. Okay, now, the spreadsheet, that's what I was thinking of. The spreadsheet, here it is. On the spreadsheet, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, down at the bottom, there's all the CFTC risk disclosures. Okay, clearly visible for everyone to look at and see. Okay, this is this month. Here we are on the spreadsheet. Today is the 13th day of April, as I told you. We made 2 ticks in crude oil and 18 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 245 on the morning. Okay, today it took 66 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we were up $100 a contract. We took a total of 11 trades today. So on the month now, we're up $1,390. That's over 10 trading days, averaging $139 per day. On the year, we're up $10,743. That's over 68 trading days, averaging $158 per day. Okay, $158 per day. All right, now let's go take a look at what we did. Gold, we only had one opportunity that we took advantage of right here. It was a break even. We missed one there and there. And let's see, then it started getting really choppy. And it stayed choppy. So that was it. So there were 3 opportunities this morning on gold, doing the stuff that we do in the room. 3 opportunities on gold. We had 1 break even. We got one of them and got a break even on it. Okay. Okay. On the euro now. 6E. Here we go. On the euro. There was, well, we didn't do anything with the euro today. I was going to say there was an opportunity here, but the cycle started going down. That's probably why I let it go. We didn't do a thing with the euro today. And I really don't see any trade setups. Because you have to be trending. Here's one during the, nope, the black step line crossed up above the BBC. There wasn't a single trade setup on the euro today. What a mess. Let's look at it on a larger time frame. We'll have a little fun. And look at it on a larger time frame. And I don't know who that is calling me from New York right now, but I cannot get that. Okay, on a larger time frame. Today. Ugh, it's even worse. It's even worse on a larger time frame. Okay, so there was nothing on the euro today. Okay, crude oil. Let's see. On crude, we had a few trades here on crude. We had a break even right here, and we had +5 right there. We missed that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. And right here, I made a mistake on this trade, and I took a small stop out on that one. Okay, Bart, when I get to that one, that's next. I'll go over it slowly. Okay. Okay, I do care about the green line, but I'll go over it. Okay. But yeah, I made a mistake on this one because it was a momentum long trade and I didn't get filled right away, and I let my order stay there until it got filled. And then I realized, oh crap, it was a momentum trade and it already went 3 ticks into profit and came back down and filled me. When my stop should have been at break even is when it filled me. When I realized that, I took a small stop out, a 3 tick stop. And so that put me at +2 because I was +5 after this one. I missed that one, and that one, and that one. And I took this one and lost 3 ticks to put me back down to +2. And you can see how choppy it got right here. Look how nasty that is. And it pretty much stayed that way during the break. Okay. Right now it's given a shorting opportunity right here. Right here. 67.50. What you would anticipate is that this green line here is going to turn down to get down into the cycle. And when it does, you would have a lower swing in place. We've got dynamic support printing right here. So if it did do that, it might flip dynamic resistance up here, and you would go down hopefully lower than here and here. But you have to wait. Now the ES is where we had the majority of our trades today, and Bart just asked me to go really slow in the part where I had this opportunity right here. Okay, and I will, but let me go back to the beginning because I can't believe I said those words. The ES is where we had the most opportunity today. Anyway, we missed the first shot right here. That was a nice short. We missed that one. We took a break even over here and another break even here. And over here, let's see, over here, we picked up a couple of ticks. And then here we picked up a couple more. Okay, this was, well, this would have been a close below the trend line. It was a momentum short trade below the trend line. And we got 2 ticks profit there. We got 2 ticks profit here. And then we had this opportunity here, and this is what Bart is talking about. Now you see right here, the cycle is going down. It's red and going down at a nice steep angle. The MA1 is also red and going down at a nice steep angle. If you get an opportunity to take a trade when it's like that, if you have the cycle and the MA1 in the same direction, in the same color, and you get a shot at a trade like that, those are the best opportunities. Those are the highest probability trades. Okay, and we had 3 of them right in a row. This one was the first one though. I took 6 profit on that. Right, 6 on that. Yeah. Okay, and you see right here, Bart, it was a bounce off the BBC. I didn't need the trend line because we hit the BBC there. We had broken dynamic support and hit the BBC, and so it was a bounce off the BBC. Down here, the green line was above the cycle. Okay. And it turned down, got down into the cycle, and that's when it should pull back again. And it pulled back. It was a quick pullback, just a short one. But the green line again was above the cycle. Okay, right here. Okay. Again, it was above the cycle right here, and that was another opportunity to take a short. And I missed that one because I was either talking or writing stuff down or drawing this line. I don't remember what. And then it pulled back and did it again, and you see the MA1 is still red, and the cycle is still red. Okay, the MA1 and cycle are both still red. So that was another opportunity there to short. Okay, we picked up 4 ticks here, and it pulled back here, and this was a little higher risk because the cycle is blue, and the MA1 is blue. But it was a bounce off the BBC, and it closed below the trend line. So we took that, and we got 4 more ticks there, and that put us at +18. We missed that one. And during the break, there was a short here. There was a short there. And that was it. Okay, so no further ado, let's go back here. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you could read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 13th day of April, 2018. We made 2 ticks on Crude and 18 ticks on the ES to get to 245 per contract. Today, it took 66 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day, and we took a total of 11 trades today. So on the month now, we're at $1,390. That's over 10 days, averaging $139 per contract. On the year, we're at 10,743. That's over 68 days, averaging $158 per contract. Okay, that's 2 hours per day, one contract. All right. If you have not taken a free trial, go to the homepage at cfrn.net. Right here was assigned for the CFRN Live Training Room. 100% free trial. User indicators on our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. I'll check in just a minute, Brian. You must actually, you click there and you're going to be brought to this page where we ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and then you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, click that confirmation link, and then we know you took the trial. And that's it. With that, I can send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona if Dwayne's back from the Crude. I think somebody's banging on my door, so I gotta go check on that. But if you are ready, I will pass it back out to Studio A.
Yeah, I'll grab the chart in just a second. You go check the door.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. I'm not going to unload on you guys about what a crazy day it's been. Because maybe you had your own crazy day. How would I know? See what I'm saying? I do know that, remember how I was complaining last week about I was really going to have to get a new computer? Well, see, complaining, that never gets you anywhere, because I think now I got to get 2 computers. So I'm going to stop complaining and just be thankful for what I have, you know? I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Let me get these charts. Okay, because I know you can't push them.
Right.
He threw his back out.
Yeah, threw my back out, pushing the charts back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain.
It happens, you know. You're not the first person. So, just relax. Okay. Something going on here. I don't understand. This is supposed to boot me out. Did I leave this logged in overnight?
What, MetaMask?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a real fanatic about logging out most times. Snap. Well, I think I don't think it's a problem. So, guys, there were some snafus today. I had the press release scheduled to go out at like 5 a.m. It's going to go out today. It's going to go out this afternoon. The second it does, I'll hit the mailing list and I'll hit emini.cfrn.net. But when you're dealing with these editors, we hit, I think, over 100 media outlets yesterday. It was staggering. Did you download that PDF, Michael? You can go to our account, and I know I sent you a partial list, but that was just a partial list. There's a lot more, and you can download the whole thing as a PDF. I don't know why somebody would want to, because it's like the same release over and over and over and over. It just shows that it went on channel 12 and channel 6, and which I guess makes some kind of a statement in and of itself. Just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Here is, oh, okay. I guess I closed all. Did I close them all? Oh no. Oh no. Here's one. I normally refuse to have more than one browser open at a time, but circumstances have forced my hand today, and I'm running 4 browsers. So if your radio explodes, we don't have insurance to cover that, so listen at your own risk. I'm just trying to get this page loaded. Yeah, okay. So for those didn't see the list that Michael and I saw, it's literally every TV station, radio station in the country, newspapers, websites, it goes on and on. But this was yesterday's channel 12 in Troy. I'm going to guess Michigan. I just grabbed one at random, but so in Troy, Michigan, channel 12, they were rocking with the CT Global token. If you've not seen this video, you've really missed out. If you've not seen this, man, I like that. And you see the three-dimensional look here? You see that?
That's very nice. Very nice.
Complete accident. I found that with these tools, if you mess around enough, you'll create something beautiful by mistake. I won't go into how it happened, but I was like, hey, Anne-Marie, come look at this. She goes, how'd you do that? It's like it jumps off the page. You can't really see it that well on this one, but when I blow it up, it really does look three-dimensional, and it was a complete accident. So anyway, this was a press release yesterday, and I'm sure most everyone has read it. And I think I put you guys a link in the chat box yesterday, and if I could find said chat box, maybe, have I not opened it? Oh, gotta open it. Are there any unanswered questions in the chat box? Are there any co-hosts that refuse to speak to me? Okay. All right. Well, I enjoyed our time together today.
You have?
All right. Well, I asked you a question you didn't answer. Hey, can you pick?
That's Jada's dad just came in.
Oh, can you open John's mic? I promised him 10 minutes ago. I promised him 20 minutes ago that I'd have him on in 10 minutes.
Okay, it's open. It's open.
Hey, John.
Okay.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I really apologize about that. How are you today?
Congrats. Well, congrats on the launch. Looks pretty.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
We're waiting with bated breath to see what the first trade is going to be like.
Guys, when you go here to the exchange at Fork Delta, and I'm going to provide in the press release a link that will take you directly to our order book, but you can come over here to where it says tokens and scroll down. Scrolling. This is actually the first time I've done this. I've been through the back end. This is the first time I came through the front door. But it should be... We're creeping up on it. What does that say? CT gold? CT sold? CTG.
It's the bottom. CTG.
CTG. There we go. Boom. Click that. The CT Global Token, developed by Christian traders as cryptocurrency for the global Christian community, is ERC20 compliant. Owners of the CT Global Token may purchase multimedia advertising on the CT Global Media Network at 50% off the list price. In addition, 25% of all advertising purchased with the CT Global Token will be used to fund CTAP, the Christian traders' agricultural product in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa, which will create jobs and provide nutritious vegetables to the children of New Hope, the babies of Aggie's baby home, and the surrounding villagers. So it's a multifaceted coin, from storehouse of value to utility to money saving to charitable work. So I built as much as a person could possibly build into one coin, I think. And so I dropped the list, and then did I not click it? It should have taken us to the order book. All right, CTG. Did they not hot link us? Okay, here's this. Here's this. That's not what I wanted to click on. Just wanted to go. What am I doing wrong, Mike?
I don't know.
Talk to me, baby.
I'm watching.
I've been working fast and furious with this editor to get this next piece out, and I mean, he's a real crab, but he's a very nice man. In case he's listening. CTG. Does this do it? Maybe this does it. Ah, there we go. This takes us to the CTG order book.
Hey.
Round and round and round she goes. If I'm not mistaken, there are 500 tokens out of the company treasury on the offer. Now, all of these prices are in. ETH. So you're going to have to get a little calculator, one of your browser windows, bookmark it. so you can figure out what the dollar amount is, assuming how that works. So on the order book, okay, if you want to sell, you click there. If you want to buy, you click there. Okay, this is CTG ETH. Okay. Click here to buy. Okay. I'll have some time to spend with this, and I can walk you guys. Maybe I'll do a video over the weekend. No promises, but I will. I'll make sure you understand how to use this platform. Now, because with the exception of the CT Global Treasury, all tokens out, except ones that are bought on the open market, are restricted until 6 months from the date that your certificate was printed. But we had a long talk last night about the greater vision. You know, the last thing in the world you want to be is that Bitcoin guy who bought it for $1 and was so excited because he tripled his money and then watched it soar to 20 grand. And I'm not intimating that CTG will soar to 20 grand. I'm just saying I don't want to be the $2 or $3 guy. I want it all or nothing. Trying to see which one of these orders went off last. Can you read it, Michael? I'm having a real bad idea.
What?
I'm ready. The last order at the bottom or the top? I think it's at the bottom.
I think the last order would be down at.
See, these are trades that have actually gone through. I was just trying to calculate at what price the last trade went off. Yeah, come over here. Trades.
You know what? It would be the one at the top, I think, because if you, I mean, the price was going up, so it would be the one at the top.
There's one order for for sale right now. And
Dwayne?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Sorry.
Yeah, John, I can talk with them about this later. I know that you're in a bit of a rush today, so guys, we'll come back to this in a little bit.
There's some things going on that I wanted to.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We can talk about this later.
Okay, you know, we had this very scary day in the metals yesterday when they kind of pushed it down, and we didn't lose our cool, and we actually bought the lows late last night. There was a bit of a retest this morning, and we had some contingency orders in there to capture the upside. And I'm very happy to say that we're having a very, very good day on the metals today. Just made a new intraday high in the gold a short while ago, but we've got a little bit of, I think we got a little bit of a correction developing here, and we have to be careful because on Wednesday, you know, around about 2 o'clock when that report came out, which you mentioned ahead of time, turned out to be the pivotal point for the gold. And it was a lot of ado about nothing, because actually it was meaningless, that report, really, in the sense that it was pretty much of a foregone conclusion, and yet the market chose to break the gold down 20 plus bucks and silver down.
You're referring to the Fed minutes that were released yesterday?
Yeah. And I mean, look, you know, it's crazy because the Fed minutes were bullish for gold, and yet they knocked it down 20 something dollars. So this morning, what's very well, I mean, look, it wasn't an easy buy yesterday in terms of being long the gold stocks, because they closed kind of weak, and in actual fact the J dust and the dust closed right on their highs, but we were not deterred, and in fact the nugget gave a buy signal right on the close, and these things came in pretty sharply higher this morning. I mean, the nugget opened up about 60 cents. It's up about $1.50 now, and the JNUG the same. It's up $1. Newmont, which also gave us a buy yesterday afternoon, is up $1.37, and Royal Gold, which was a little harder to read, is up $1.75, and Gold GOLD is up $2. So now there's a couple of things that are very important here. Royal Gold is very close to making new 52-week highs, certainly very close to making new 6 or 7 months highs, and Newmont is on the cusp of making, it's literally only a matter of a few 10 cents or 10 or 20 or 30 cents away from hitting a new new 2-year high.
Well, let me
Like
let me ask you a question, John. Since gold, I mean, it's kind of held its own, but it's, it hasn't done anything, amazing or stellar over the past year. I mean, well, maybe I guess it depends on a person's opinion. But what is causing the stock to rise on these gold stocks without already having a huge rally in gold? I mean,
well,
do they know something we don't? Were they underpriced
yeah,
before?
the gold stocks are anticipating a higher gold prices, and if anything, the gold stocks are undervalued because we've really we've risen $300 off the lows.
Okay.
And a lot of gold stocks, some of the stocks are lower or not much up off the lows of the last couple of years. So this is why you got to really pay attention, because what we've had. Remember, we had a $100+ rally, $150 rally off the December low in gold. Then we pulled back and we've made a much slower kind of an upturn on this last Fed hike. And they keep knocking the gold down like they did yesterday. But when you see the gold come back from a really bad sell-off like yesterday, and often they kind of create these spikes to be taken out. And if you look at the spikes, when they go, just like that fourth time thing we were looking at the other day, when they get taken out, they're going to see a really, look, there was almost panic buying in gold on Wednesday before it got knocked down, and there was panic buying again today. On these gold stocks right off the opening tick. They went straight up. So look, the market, we sold the market this morning. I mean, I really did something pretty unusual. I mean, I just took a shot at it. I had a hunch that the market was going to sell off from the open, and within 5 minutes they were starting to head down. And look at where they are right now. I mean, who'd have thought? You come in 160 points higher on the Dow, we're down 92. This is really, really bad action, unless we get back to positive before the day's out. And I wouldn't rule that out, because the S&P and the mid-cap aren't really that far off going positive, but and even the Nasdaq for that matter. So the market is fairly strong, but I really don't like this technical picture we talked about yesterday, where, especially after today, I mean, if we go down any lower today and end up with a pretty bad close and something awful happens over the weekend.
Are you talking overall on the indices? Are you speaking?
Yeah. I'm talking about the indices. Now they're picking up. We've actually got a buy right here on the indices right now, because I think they're going to rally. But to what extent? They keep they're rallying, and they're not getting very far. And stocks like Facebook a little bit better today, but not exactly, hasn't been performing very well since this testimony. And
is that over? Is the testimony over?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I saw a thing yesterday that said he didn't manage to keep his cool as well on the second day as he did on the first day. But I haven't seen.
Well, he had this talk for a long time, and it was probably pretty grueling, and especially when you're getting questions from a lot of people who are just totally incompetent, don't know anything.
And you also know that you have more money than all the people in that room put together.
Well, and probably more brain power as well. It's just like I mean, some of these guys.
It's hard not to be arrogant, I suppose, at that point.
You wonder. I mean, the more you see these fellows every day, and especially this disgraceful nomination thing yesterday. Attacking Trump at every turn. I mean, what is wrong with these fellows? I mean, for God's sake, Trump sorted out the world in 5 minutes. He's in the process of fixing North Korea, potentially fixing Iran. He's, first time a president stood up to China in 3 decades. I mean, come on, this, and China actually says, they actually, said they're going to lower tariffs. I mean, if Trump can eliminate tariffs around the world, because it's the biggest scam ever. You know, the world's going to have a boom to end all booms, because it's a huge tax on the people that's going to be eliminated.
What was the original concept behind having tariffs? Why doesn't the world just have free trade with each other?
Well, it's all because it's all cronyism, and then it's all you know, because of these. It started with these corrupt governments, you know, Latin American governments, and people who want to, you know, tax imports so that they get, you know, revenue off them. And Chinese is doing the same thing. And you know, when they paid 25% tax on a U.S. car versus 2.5% when they're imported into the U.S., it's totally upside down, and it's time to be eliminated. And all these stupid free trade deals with Europe and everybody else, it's such a lot of nonsense, because the world would work so much better with no tariffs at all. It's what I told, you know, it's like living in Ireland in 1984, you know, at the bottom of the Depression, which was going on there at the time, you know, right before they entered Europe, or around the time they got into Europe. You know, if you wanted to buy a Mercedes, you had to pay double in Ireland, you know, compared to Germany. Now, in the European Union, you can buy a Mercedes any country you want, and it's the same price. It's just like, you know, being in one of the 52 states.
And then you get in it and really drive home, you know. That's amazing.
Yeah, and the world needs to adopt that situation now. So, you know, if you order something from China, you know, you don't have to pay. You know, you can buy. I mean, look, there's a tremendous amount of mail order now with China, with online purchases with Alibaba and everything like that. Look, you know, and
have you ever ordered anything from China? Like anything in bulk? Or have you? Okay. Because
we do it all the time.
A lot of these people that ask my wife to review their products and whatnot, I would say probably 75–80% of them are in China. And my wife has commented to me that they're some of the nicest people in the world. Whenever she gets something, if it's damaged or it gets lost or it doesn't work, she gets a hold of them on the messenger on the computer, and they just can't apologize enough. And we're getting another one in the mail right now today. No, you don't have to send the other one back. You know, she says, Dwayne, I'm blown away. If Americans offered this kind of customer service, it'd be a whole different world that we're living in here. So
yeah, well, I told you about the LG screen I had, you know, high res, 32-incher, and beautiful screens. They're only $200, and they're just the best value for money out there, really.
Does it have a TV tuner in it, or is it just a monitor?
Yeah, they have everything. The whole works. And there was a line, there was a line going down the screen, and they did exactly that. They sent us a new screen so we wouldn't be without a screen. I mean, to send the old one back after we got the new one. I mean, it was just fantastic.
That's incredible, yeah.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
And very rapidly, within a few days.
My big screen had a line running down the right side of it for a couple of years. Just one morning I came in, turned it on, and bam, it was there. But the audience couldn't see it. When I would look on my monitor over here to see what the audience is seeing, that black line did not show up. And I got to the point where I'd seen it so much, I just didn't even see it anymore. It's like banner ads on the internet. But go ahead.
So, just going back to the markets for a minute. So look, the markets, I would say the danger has certainly gone up quite a few notches more than it was yesterday because of this downturn today. But look, this was the week I was worried about. We seem to have gotten through it pretty well, if we're able to build on this week and go higher next week, then there is the potential. And look, we've got to remember there's a lot of earnings coming out next week. If the earnings are good, there is an argument to be made that the market could actually have a pretty really strong finish to the month and possibly get right back up towards the highs. I mean, there's a few stocks that are really starting to look not far from new. Look at Intel. Intel it's almost at a new all-time high, or new 52-week high.
INTC.
Yeah. it's off a bit today. Look at where it got to yesterday. You know.
Is Alcoa still the first to report earnings? I know they have been for years.
Yeah, I think it's already done it actually,
and
it's up.
Oh, Alcoa already has. Okay. So this
Yeah,
is INTC
and by the way,
on a 30. Let's go look at it daily.
Yeah, and when you get when Alcoa has a good result, look just about to hit an all-time high. Actually, isn't that interesting?
This is an all-time high in Intel.
In Intel, it's a multiple year high.
Now, has the stock been? Have there been stock splits along the way?
It's I don't know. It's the highest since 2001 for Intel. So.
You know, I met a guy back in a guy who, you know, these little mail centers where you have a PO box and you get your mail because for whatever reason you don't want it delivered to your house, and or it's because it's close to your business, which really was my case. But he had worked for Intel. Now he was a young man at the time. He couldn't have been more than 40, and I said, so how did you come to be here, you know, running this little mailbox store? He was a really nice fellow. We would chat every day when I'd go in to get my mail. He said, well, I worked for Intel, and they gave me an opportunity, like some kind of golden parachute bailout kind of thing. And he said, it was a massive amount of money. I just couldn't turn it down. And I'm like, but you're a young guy, and you seem smart and capable, and you got all your faculties. Why do companies do that? How do they benefit from something like that?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, because they always want to hire young people. You know, it's like these people where there's scandal about the H-1B visas, where they're taking people, bringing people in from India, and having fellas train them, and then they take the guy who trained them. They take their jobs. I mean, there was a huge scandal about that a year or two ago. You know,
I missed that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
it really does.
I mean, that's how ruthless people are. You know, there's no loyalty. It's terrible. You know, we live and work for a company all your life, and this is the way they treat you. Jesus, it's just terrible.
Well, who was this guy recently that they fired him the day before his pension vested? It was big. It was all over the news. One of these government guys. I'm sure somebody.
Oh, you mean Gabe, deputy FBI guy? Yeah.
Yeah, and so did you?
McCabe.
Did you? Yeah. What were your thoughts on that? Right, wrong?
Well, look, the guy deserved it. Unfortunately, you know, it's just he should have been fired a lot sooner. But and you know, he's raised more money now. He's raised probably more than his pension from somebody put some kind of a fund me deal together for him. So and yeah, listen, he's already got a book. You know, it's like Comey. He's going to get a ton of money from the book. So it just the notoriety of it probably made him more valuable. You know, as a result. So it's kind of an example of, you know, how bad things can turn into good things. So you know, I don't think he's crying too much today. He's got a lot of supporters, so you know, he as far as his supporters are concerned, he can't do anything wrong. But you know, as far as Republicans are concerned, you know, they're glad to see the last of him. You know, so.
You know, they have
I mean, the guy. I mean, but the thing is, look, the thing about the FBI is it's a very, you know, there's no second. I wouldn't even. There are really no second chances. If you lie to you know, if you're an FBI agent, and you're caught lying, you're out. You know, he's caught lying 4 times. So he's you know, and now there's dispute between his testimony and Comey's testimony. So one of them is lying. So the whole thing stinks to high heaven. And
I think one of them's a lying slime ball. I heard.
Yeah,
I think Trump said that.
There you go. You know, we can you know, you can get away with calling people those kinds of names these days. So as long as you reference where it came from. So,
that's too much.
But well, I mean, it's always what do they call it? You know, double standards and everything. You know,
Sure.
Like the hatred for Comey by the Democrats was obviously, you know, a boiling point just before the election, and then all of a sudden he's a hero 3 months later or 6 months later when he's fired because, oh, you shouldn't have done that. It's every Democrat in the world was calling for him to be fired a week before the election, and
right.
then 6 months later, it's just pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
Any word on Syria?
Well, who knows? I mean, the way the markets are poised, you'd have to say that there's trouble ahead because of the way the market's down and the way the gold is up. It's a pretty tricky kind of a thing, regardless, because even though the gold looks all right now, it could still come in a lot lower on Monday if there isn't an attack, and if there is an attack, it could come in way higher. So it's a pretty tricky, tricky kind of scenario. I did look. I haven't been hurt in the market for a long time, but I did go long some stocks. I bought a strong close like a few weeks ago, and they came in a lot lower the next morning. Fortunately, that was the one where we had a really bad down opening, and then it actually recovered and ended up going up real strong. In fact, Intercept was one of those, and Maxim and that. But actually, the only one that's higher today, even though we got out of those positions ages ago, is Intercept. I think is the only one that's higher, and Maxim and Guild and most of those others are still lower. So you've got to be ready to pounce on these issues, because when they turn, they're especially with the Intel acting so well, it's kind of leading the semiconductors higher, and it now looks to me like Intel is going to be shooting. It's going to be shooting for for all-time highs, in this next run, in the run-up.
Now, who a major chip user I read the other day? It might have been Apple, but I'm not positive. They're planning. It might have been Nvidia. They're planning to start making their own chips. How much is that going to hurt Intel?
Don't know.
Well, iPhones don't use an Intel chip, right?
Yeah, no. There was a thing about that a week or two ago, and it knocked Intel down for a few days. But right now Intel is looking pretty incredible. So I really think Intel is going to go it's before this bull market's over. Intel will hit new highs, or at least test its old highs. And I think when Microsoft goes over 100, you'll see Intel up, and you'll see the AIMs, as I call them, will be on their way to trillion dollar market cap.
If Microsoft had never split their stock, what price do you think it might be at today?
Oh, it'd probably be in the thousands, for sure. Yeah. Right. So
I've been thinking so much about that. I've always been anti-dilution. And Michael and I were talking one day, and we were talking about the reasons why we agreed to go with only 1 million tokens, even though there's 2.4 billion Christians around the world. It was for that very reason. Michael said that's the Berkshire Hathaway model. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, Warren's never diluted the stock, and today one share costs you over $300,000.
Yeah.
Last time I looked at the price. But the beautiful thing is we have the Berkshire Hathaway model with no dilution, no future dilution, no potential dilution. It just can never be diluted. It's written into the contract. But we also have the benefit of the Bitcoin model of fractional ownership. So if price rises substantially on the CT Global token, we might reach a point where 10 people own one coin, or 100 people own one token, or 1,000. It's like somebody asked me in the webinar last night. Well, I've been wanting to get into this Bitcoin thing. How much does it cost to buy? I mean, how much money do you need to buy one Bitcoin? And the answer is like, well, you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can put in $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever you got, and you have fractional ownership. And that's a real game changer, I think.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So I don't know of any other cryptocurrency that has used this model specifically on purpose yet. Everybody else is just busy seeing how many billions and billions and billions and billions, you know, they can print. I hate that. I hate dilution. I just
Well, you know, the dilution thing it works for a while, because when people get more shares, and
a stock split for the right reason, I'm okay with
and the thing is that people forget, you know, after a while, people forget about the stock split, so that when they see the stock, you know, affordable, they go in and buy more. You know, that's
right.
that's the thinking behind it.
Yeah, just to keep it affordable.
And,
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So,
but people who don't know about stock splits, you know, they would look at Microsoft. What's Microsoft trading at right now?
190 something.
Oh my goodness! Last time I actually pulled up Microsoft, it must have been years ago. It was like $35.
No, it's been up
for a long time,
to 97.
Yeah. It's not
94 right now. 94.
Okay.
94. So, but the interesting thing about these splits, you know, especially with stocks like Amazon and Apple, is that when they split them and they sort of go back to a $30 stock or a $40 stock, they go through the whole merry-go-round again. So when they break 50, it's bullish. So then they started heading for 100. Then when they break 100, it's really bullish, you know. And that's what happened to that BlackBerry, the RIM it used to be called. Research in Motion.
Boy, that was a real high flyer there for a while.
Well, remember that was the one, my famous, the Friday afternoon, when it was one of the first stocks to jump. It literally jumped from $82 to over 100 in one day, and it increased its market cap by over 4 billion, which at the time was very unusual. It was a big deal. And all these fellows on fast money were saying, you know, sell it, it's not going anywhere. It's, you know, every one of them, the whole lot of them said, you know, forget about it. And I went out that night, and that was when, that very night, I put a $450 upside target on the stock, because I realized at the time that it was a forerunner to, you know, where Apple is today. And, you know, they only had about 1 million subscribers at the time, or maybe 1 million phones, and this was the first smartphone, so you know it was obvious that it was going to become a bigger deal.
There's people out there today that, you know,
what happened to them, Dwayne, was, you know, they only became, you know, a multiple million type company, you know, in terms of units, right? They never got to the scale of Apple, where you're doing 50 million units a quarter or more. You know, Apple took their model and basically, you know, put it on a global scale and sort of ran the whole thing over and over again. So, I mean, they were the pioneer, and you know, and remember, Citigroup came out and initiated coverage when it was at $250. So, you know, and remember, we first bought this thing when it was about $14 a share, because
that is a trading methodology right there that I think a person can be very successful. When an analyst upgrades a stock, short it, and when they downgrade it, buy it. And you don't have to do it that day. You can wait and watch the chart until it turns around.
Yeah, it's sort of like Twitter. You know, they were probably downgrading Twitter in the teens. You know, and look where it is now. And Twitter, by the way, is actually, it's time to be paying attention to Twitter again, because remember, it had the earnings surprise the last quarter, and it's probably going to continue to surprise this quarter, because, you know, Trump's just hit 50 million followers on one of his Twitters, and he's about 25 on the other one. So and if you look at the stock, it kind of looks like it's headed for another run to the upside. So look, it's always risky betting on quarterly results, but I think the odds are fairly high that Twitter is going to be you know, going to have an upside surprise, and in spite of everything, Facebook probably have an upside surprise as well. And actually, the next up leg for Twitter is you know, could take the stock, you know, up towards $50. So it could be a very big up leg. And I think Facebook, you know, I mean, look at the structure of Facebook. It's kind of building for kind of an upside surprise. And they're making so much money now in revenues. It's just staggering what their revenues have risen absolutely astronomically. Just about the only way to describe it. The odds are very, very high that Facebook's going to be continuing to blow away at least for another couple of quarters.
Let me pull the Facebook chart up real quick. See what it looks like today. Facebook. Do you think there's any real competitors out there to Facebook? I mean, it's pretty rare that someone, takes a first place and just everybody else gives up. I mean, that sort of happened with search engines. I mean, I know there are other search engines, but you don't ever hear about them.
Yeah, you never know. Look, you can never say never. It's like, Marks and Spencers in England, and these stores, the chains. Look at Sears. I mean, Sears is on its last legs.
And that was the backbone of America for a while. I mean, Sears Roebuck. Yeah. I was an overweight kid, so my mom had to take me to Sears for my clothes because they had a husky department. I mean, you got everything from Sears. You got your washing machine at Sears. You got your clothes at Sears. You bought your tires at Sears. And what brought them through such hard times? Could they not withstand the competition?
Well, Walmart's,
the Walmarts, the Amazons,
and Target, and all these other stores. And you know what? One day it'll be Walmart's turn. Somebody will come out. It's like Woolworths. The Woolworths and Kmart is another one. It's
JCPenney.
And I think I told you. My father was. He was apprentice to the founders of CNA Modes, the biggest chain of stores in the world, and still are in some countries. But he opened the first store in England in 1929, and ended up with 113 stores, and there ain't any more there now. They're all done. They're all gone. It's amazing.
You would probably enjoy this show. My wife watches it. I don't watch it, but it's called Selfridge, or the man's name is Selfridge or Selfridge.
Selfridge, yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Have you seen that? I mean, I've watched it with her a couple times, and the whole concept. He was the guy. Now, I think this is based on a true story. He was like the first guy with the idea of a department store, where you could buy many different things in one. And he. So, did you know about him before you saw this TV show, this series?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't know.
But it is based on a true.
But it had obviously had a lot of meaning to me because of my father's situation.
Well, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was thinking you would, enjoy it because of your dad. So.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's how I ended up going to sea, because my father used to go out. They didn't fly in those days, in the early 30s. He used to go out on ships. He was a buyer for the company. He used to go out to China and Hong Kong and Singapore to buy goods for the stores to be shipped back. And he thought this sea life was a pretty good life for people. So that's how I ended up on Princess Cruises and P&O and all these exotic cruise ships for a while. So in my earlier life.
Huh. And when you were a kid, did you guys go sailing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been sailing. So I was sailing before I was walking almost. I've been at sea all my life. So.
Well, I enjoy the ocean. I enjoy the beach. But when they put me on that
sailing is a phenomenal sport. It's just
because it's you and nature.
Great.
It's you and the wind. And I like the ocean. I like the beach. Always did. But when they put me on that first fast frigate in the United States Navy and sent me out to sea for 90 days. 90 days we did not see land, nor women, nor wine, nor song. And boy, I'm telling you, I started to go stir crazy. I mean, that's a small boat, and it had 225 people on it. And I mean, you could go out on deck, and you could sit, and you could look at the moon and the stars and all these other things, and throw all your trash. That was really freaked me out. One of my first nights underway, they said, "Here, let's go. Let's take the trash out." Well, where are we going to take it? Follow me. Go to the fantail and just throw it in the
don't
ocean.
even think about it.
I'm like, oh my God. Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Do they still do that?
No, they don't anymore. Well, not supposed to do it anymore, but just terrible, terrible.
Yeah, Melissa says that that was a great series, Mr. Selfridge. He actually ended up moving overseas after working in retail for Marshall Fields in Chicago. So, Melissa, you're saying he was an American who worked for Marshall Field in Chicago,
that's right.
and then
He
went
was.
over there to begin his business. Oh, I wonder if my wife even knows that. Huh.
Yeah. Well, my rally theory started to work out. So
Okay, which
we
market?
are rallying
S&P?
on the S&P and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, nice little pop there.
So you know, can't rule out the possibility of us going higher next week, and the gold is coming off a little bit. So we'll see. You know, in a way, I kind of hope that we might get another Wednesday and then take another shot at going in cheap again on the golds before the next rally. But the fact that we rallied up this much is very, it certainly puts within sight the possibility of taking out some of those spikes on the upside, which would be very positive if we can do that.
We had on the S&P, our alert last night was to buy 2662, so we've run up 18 points. Price got back below the trigger. We now have another trade underway. But on the short side, look at how it ran down. We said to sell 26.51. It ran down to exactly 51 to the tick, and then turned around and headed back up. Which is frustrating to those who place their orders to buy or sell on a stop at exactly the number I give them. Sometimes that happens, you know. It just happens.
Okie doke. Well, listen. Have a great weekend.
Hey, John. You have a great
thanks very
weekend
much
too.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, everything. And if you're going to be available, maybe I'll give you a call over the weekend.
All right, much obliged. Good luck with the coin.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okie doke. Let me mute his mic for him so he can move freely about the cabin.
I got it.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
Okay. Okay.
All right, so we've covered the S&P already. Stellar performance. Covered the Dow. Had a 180-point rally. A little something on the short side. Let's see, from 340 we dropped down to, we'll call it 300. So that's about 40 right there. So there's 180 points available on the upside, 40 on the downside. Now keep in mind, we never get out at the swing high or swing low because we trail our stops. And when you trail your stop, well, going to leave a little something on the table. The Russell I just measured up. No trigger on the long side, and basically a stop out on the short side. Thank you for that, Russell. On the only ones we haven't covered, NQ, we said to consider being a long 66.72. Now, price is at 66.74, but you had your first opportunity at 66.72 right about here. Right about here-ish. So, drag that down. 66.72. Okay. See, by 66.72. Okay, and the swing high. I just can't see it. 60. I'm gonna have to go with 67.13. So 25, 28, 38, 41. You got 41 points there at $20 per point. So we could call that $800 per contract available. Okay. Now, let's talk about risk just for a moment, and just on this one example. We had a nice move, $800 per contract available over a period of 1 to 3.5 hours, we'll call it. Okay. Now, most recent swing low. Is it here? Or is it here? That is the question. Now, because the most we want to risk on any trade alert is $300 per contract, I know there's extenuating circumstances, and people who are bold and have big accounts might choose to make that. You do. Just to make this simple. If it's $20 a point, and you only want to risk $300, that's 15 points, right? So 66.72 is your trigger. If you minus 15 points, minus 5, got 52 points there. Minus 5, 7, no 57. Let's go minus 5, 7, 6 minus 5. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so the number is going to be 48, 6, 48. Oh, give me a clean page. I can't even do simple math today. 66.72. Had too many digits in that equation. Okay, so 567 is going to be your stop loss. That's if you allow 15 points. I'm sorry, 66.72. So it's going to be 66, 60, 66.57. 66, 67. That's not right. 66.57. Man, no shit. It's done by a calculator. Okay, 66.57. So we know that, and let me just drop a horizontal line. This is not a weekly trading zone. Okay, I'm just dropping it for show and tell. Now I'm going to come up here, and it's always black, so we're going to make it some kind of pretty color. I don't know, like a fuchsia. Yeah. Yeah, that'll look real pretty. Okay, I just want you to be able to see it. So you take this, and you push it up to that number you just came up with, 66.57. Because sometimes you don't have to risk the whole 300. 66. I can't see the number. 66. What's that number there? 53. So it's got to be just right above that. All right, that's 56.50. Close enough. So we can see that a 15-point stop loss, which is $300. So we can see that that dog won't hunt. We like to roll. And we do. Oh, I'm way off on other days now. Goodness. I should have done an arrow like Mikey does. Oh, so it's got to be right here. Yeah, this is where. Okay. All right, so when we crossed right here, all right, on this 5-minute chart, let me make it stand up a little bit. Okay. Now where's your most recent swing low? Looks like right about there. So here's what I got to do. Now this gives me a full $300 stop, but this is really all the stop I have to have based off the 5-minute chart. So maybe I'll split the difference and push it up like that, so I've got a little bit more room for the stop, but I'm not having to risk the entire $300. All based on math and being able to read the chart. So now we can take this trade. This can be our stop, less than $300. Boom, the first leg up goes to 66.83. Is that right, Mike? 66.80. 66.82. Call it 66.82. Fair enough. 66.82. And what was the dead gum number we were getting in at? 66.72. So it went from 72 to 82. So that's 10 points, $20 a point. It's $200 per contract right here. Okay? You won't get out at the swing high because you're trailing the stop. And so if you did put your stop right there, that's 66.63. So 63 to 72, that's going to be 9 points at $20 per point. So you've risked $100 per contract. What you really want to do is you want to take out of the trade at least what you were willing to risk, if possible. Okay. So could you have just gotten out here or gotten stopped out here trailing your stop, and it would have been pretty much a 1-to-1. You don't ever want to do worse than 1-to-1. There's guys out there to try to sell you stuff. You know, you risk 10 points on the S&P to make 3 or 4. It goes well for a few trades or a few days. Then you catch 3 in a row and you're out of business. Your account's gone. Comes back over here. Let's say you took this because you didn't know what was going to happen, and boy, you're just excited that you're getting paid. All right, so you took this. All right, so price comes down and it gets back below the trigger. So maybe you get long again, and this time your stop only has to be here. And you're nervous and you take your profits here or something, you get stopped out because you're trailing really close. Back below the trigger, off it goes again. And this time we figured out it ran up, how many points? $800 per contract available. Okay. Now there's a third secret weapon that we use. If we can't find it on the 30 and we can't find it on the 5, those who are Concierge Trade Alert clients know exactly what chart to go to next. And if it doesn't look right on that chart, then you walk away. Because you have 16 trade opportunities coming out of the box when you open the email at night. Many of them will trigger multiple times throughout the coming session. So it allows you to be selective. You know, this is too. I'm not willing to put the risk here. I'm going to be selective. Now that's very much different than rules-based trading, where you have a firm set of rules for everything. If the opportunity presents itself, the thing that you say defines your definable edge, if that definable edge is presented, and for whatever reason you choose not to take the trade, then you kind of throw everything out of whack. You want to speak to that a minute, Michael?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have an edge, you've got to keep executing that edge exactly as it is defined. If you do anything else, well, you don't have an edge. If it's guessing.
Yes.
If you do anything else.
I couldn't have said it better. Okay, we already did gold. We said to sell $13.54, and it dropped $1,700 per contract. And depending upon how closely you were trailing, I would think you might have got, down into this area, stopped out here, certainly probably here if you were trailing. And I don't think we'll see the long side of that trade today. Now, earlier, did anybody have problems with their crude chart earlier? All I could get was a black screen.
I didn't have any trouble.
Which was quite odd. Okay, so we'll make this disappear.
I had no problem.
Okay. All right, on the crude, we said consider buying 67.30, which is right there. Okay, right there. And it ran up to 67.75. So that'd be 45 ticks at $10 a tick. That'd be $450 per contract. Back below the trigger, because important prices, important areas, almost always tested. And pretty close to 400 bucks up here again. Okay, so 2 nice moves to the upside in crude. And that depletes my inventory. Let's take a look at our monthly chart on the ES. Okay. Now, this is where a lot of people are starting to change their mind. Oh, yeah, I thought we were going to get this pullback and we're going to get this sell-off. Hey, I don't know for a fact that it's coming back here. I just know based on years of historical observance. At this point, it's the high probability thing. So, I mean, it could go right up and kiss this and kiss this and kiss that, and then just in one day, it could take all that out. Okay. I'm not trading the monthly chart. I just simply know that on the monthly chart, I feel like a pullback is due. Got the BBC here. Price loves to revert to the mean. Cycles, red and hooked down. 38% Fibonacci retracement. And after a move of this magnitude to only get a 38% retracement, that is a very shallow retracement. So S&P was awesome. 18 points available on the move up. And price came down and tagged 26.51, right on the nose, and then it was rejected like you touched a hot stove. It ran the other way. So, all right, let's go back here before we head out. I want to look at that I want to look at that order platform one more time. I'm going to be working with it this afternoon, and I'll put something together for you. Plus, I have to get it down on my smaller screen in front of me so that I'm able to see, you know, everything going on. As far as orders right now, I think there's 500 on the offer. I don't know why it says 499.9, but I'm not gonna. I'll figure that out too. And this is when the order expires. They don't have a GTC type order. You see over here, let's say that you wanted to buy. Okay, here you're going to put in the amount you want to buy, which, oh, let's say you wanted to buy 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 1,000. Okay. At what price? Ooh. Let's take
267.
Okay.
Okay, that last one, Dwayne, that was sold there, I just did the conversion. 0.009267 times 515, which is what Ether is at right now, is $4.77. $4.77.
Y'all hear what the man said? All of you that participated in the pre-sale, you bought tokens at $1. You got bonuses out of your hat. And I'm sorry, the last trade went off at what?
477.
477. Now, don't get squirrely. Don't be out at the car dealership, okay, this weekend looking at, you know, a Ferrari. Forget about it. Get them tokens on your Nano S. Get it in the wall safe or wherever, safe deposit box, and then live your life. Treat everybody with dignity and respect. Never run over a dog. Help elderly folks across the street. Live life the way you always have wanted to live life. And there'll come a day when I, on this radio show, will ask you if you remember the combination to your wall safe. And hopefully you do, because things are happening. Now, I want you to really, really think about this. With 2.4 billion Christians worldwide, self-confessed, self-professed Christians, and this research was compiled by an organization, Pew Research. They've been around forever. 2.4 billion. Okay. Now, I did these numbers somewhere the other day, but if I finally broke it down to the point where if I forget, where's those numbers? I got them here somewhere. Do you remember what those numbers were?
I do not remember those numbers.
He does not remember. Let me look here. Hang on.
I am redoing the Tuesday page so that the most recent goes at the top.
Okay.
So I'm going to get rid of some of the really old ones and just put in like the last 25 or 30 that I've done.
Do you want to, you know, you could just move them into the storage folder. I could show you how to do that if you want to, or, I mean, if you've already got another copy. You got a copy of it on Vimeo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to take, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the ones that I'm going to remove and just put them in a file here on my desktop. And so I'll have them if anybody wants to go back and see them. And they are out on Vimeo, but I don't want to have to go try to find them.
No, gotcha.
Because, I've got probably 200 of them now, and it's just taking so much time to load the page.
Okay, here's the thing I was trying to read that the other night. I realized you couldn't really read it very good because I didn't do the, never mind. 2.4 billion Christians. If 10% of them thought, I'm going to buy me just one of those tokens as a novelty, then you would need 240 million tokens. If 10% bought one token, I'm sorry, if 1% of all the Christians worldwide, 1% of 2.4 billion, if they all said, you know what, let me get one of them. I'm going to turn it into a keychain. Except it's not a physical coin. Well, that would require 24 million CTG tokens. Now, what if only half of 1%? Is that 0.01?
0.0. No, it's
Is that half of 1%? 0.05. Okay. What if only half of 1% of the
Actually,
Christians,
it's 0.005.
0.005. Okay, if 0.005 of all the Christians in the world wanted to get just one CTG token, we would need 12 million tokens. We only have 1 million. So, tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell the guy on the pew, and don't try to sell them. Don't tell them it's a great investment. Don't do that, because you got to live with that person. And so, just tell them that you're a part of a community that has its own cryptocurrency, and that they should read up on it at ChristianTraders.com. And then let nature take its course. They'll like what they see. They'll be very excited. Maybe they'll get involved a little bit. And if they don't worry. You are our spokesbottle. So brush your teeth, comb your hair, be in church every Sunday, and just, let it be a part of your conversation. I don't want that sales. We don't want to talk people into something. Expose, just like I exposed you. And look at how many of you came and said, yeah, I want to be a part of that, So, remember this number. If half of 1% of all Christians worldwide wanted to purchase one token, and I know a lot of you laugh because you got a whole lot more than that, we would need 12 million tokens to service them. But we only have 1 million, and it's written into the contract that there will never be more than 1 million. So, big picture, this looks, well, I want to remain cautiously optimistic, because I know what it's like to fall in love with a stock, for instance, and be head over heels. And you may not be out in the car dealership looking at the Ferrari, but your mind is going places you've never been before. And I still haven't been. So take from that what you will. When you come down here and put in the price, you're either going to have to match the seller's price, or, now Michael, did you find a calculator that allowed you to convert $1 into Ether?
No, I didn't. I just did it manually.
Okay, because here's what I had to do the other night, and I don't know why they don't have those, but Ether to US dollar.
There it is, right there. Conversion.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you know what?
But it only goes one direction. And yeah, if you could create us one, that would be great. Okay.
Put it on the website. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, here's a converter right here. In fact, this is one I used the other day, Currencio. Okay, 1 Ethereum to dollars convert. And converting.
514. That's about right. Let me just check it.
Wait a minute. No, that's the current rate, isn't it?
Hang on.
Oh, there you go. No.
Right now, I have Ether at. Well, hang on. Let me refresh. I have Ether at 515.35 right now.
Okay.
So
$1
now,
I want to go now.
0.00.
I switched it around, but see, the thing is the other day when we were working on this, we couldn't get it to give us the conversion figure always said 0. So $1 US equals how much Ethereum convert?
Yeah.
Look at that. Ain't that pretty?
And then you can do. Look at that. That is pretty.
Yeah.
You can do switch. You see that little thing? Switch
Yeah, I switched it.
Ether to dollar.
Well, that's how I had it up first.
Oh, okay.
So $1 US to Ethereum. Pretty sure I clicked the convert button already. There's probably a lot of people hitting this thing right now. Doesn't seem to be doing much.
Let me see if I can.
At least the other day it was coming back. It was coming back with a zero. It doesn't seem to be coming back with anything.
I loaded the crypto meeting from last night into Vimeo. If you wanted to put that somewhere.
Okay. Well, it's on YouTube right now. Anyone who missed the webinar last night, you'll see it. It says global. No, I wouldn't fix the global thing. So
it says global.
Yeah, no, I fixed it. It's when you go to youtube.com/CFRN, it will be the top video, and it will the one up on the top, and it will say I don't know, CT global webinar.
Oops. Co.
One Ethereum is how much US dollars? Convert.
Here it is.
Oh, look at this one down here. They've made it colorful. Most traders fail. I know why, and I can help. That's very nice. I wonder who did that for me.
Hey, you know what? I just
What'd you do?
I just went to the page and I see the same ads coming up. Okay, so
they're all, yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of them lately.
Ether.
So I don't know why this thing won't work today. It worked. I mean, I'm just going to go find another.
It did work. It did work.
It did.
One Ether to US dollar, 513. That's about right. It's pretty close.
Okay, so one Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
You need $513 to buy one Ethereum.
Yeah.
Okay, let's run it the other way. How many? One US dollar equals how much Ethereum?
That's about right. 0.001946. That last purchase.
Okay.
There was what, 0.0009 something?
Yeah.
So Ethereum has probably gone up since then.
It has. Well, yeah. Everything followed Bitcoin when it made its. Well, not everything, but a lot of them.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, mine says the same thing. One Ethereum equals $513, and switch it around. $1 equals 0.001946.
Okay.
Ether.
One thing I've found in my research is that a lot of these tokens that were like a bright and shining star, and then they burned out and ultimately flopped, they had a group of traders behind them. But some of the ones I've studied where we've seen, you know, the value of the token grow 1,000-fold, 2,000-fold. I look at the community, who they are, where they came from, and they tend to be more mature people, and they tend to have more of an investment type mentality and philosophy. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't be traders. You know, we day trade futures for income. I see this as a long-term play for the retirement I didn't pay into growing up because I never thought I'd live to be this old. And I'm really discouraged too that no one at a young age ever sat me down and talked to me about that. Just like I scored 98 on the ASVAB test, but yet not one of my teachers ever sat me down and encouraged me to go to college. Because people from my town just didn't go to college. Nobody in my family's ever been to college. They're working at the gas station in the Piggly Wiggly now. People I grew up with. So that frustrates me. But then that my dad or my mom or somebody didn't sit me down and say, "No, son." Well, actually, I already had the idea in my head. I joined the Navy at 17 with full plans to retire at 37. 20-year career. And after that, I would have health benefits and a paycheck for the rest of my life, and then I could do, you know, whatever I wanted to do, you know, some kind of job that I enjoyed. And what a great plan. Except I hated the military. I didn't hate the military. I don't hate the military. What I wasn't very good at was being micromanaged and yelled at.
And contained.
Well, let's say Dwayne may have graduated at 16. And he may have scored 98 on the ASVAB, but for his age, he was kind of immature. He'd been working 40 hours a week since he was 14, so he wasn't afraid of hard work. but he was a little immature for his age. And when you get in the Navy, man, it's like you hit port, it ain't nothing but, you know, drink, 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 and all this other stuff. And I got caught up in it, you know. So anyway, so I want you guys to think about that, okay? About what do you see as the future? And then if you see future, how do we get there? Okay? Because this isn't a Mike and Dwayne thing. You're not dependent on Mike and Dwayne to make the magic happen. Oh no. If you own tokens, you are a part of this community, and it is your responsibility, every bit as much as it is ours, to be a spokesperson. Not a salesman, a spokesperson. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm pretty excited about it. If you have any interest, go to ChristianTraders.com. Boom. End of story. You know, if you go to a cocktail party with 50 people, if you have a chance to shake hands with half of them and say that one sentence, one or two of them might go to the site, and one of them might decide to become a token owner, and then they're going to go to a cocktail party, you know. So time, we have time on our side. Okay, I really wanted to get live on the exchange before the SEC comes through with their draconian regulations that they're trying to cook up, because I think they would have a real legal challenge if they tried to make it retroactive. I can't guarantee anything, but it seems to me that it would be grossly unfair to an awful lot of people.
It would be. So, it would be. Especially us.
Especially us.
Okay.
Hey, Dwayne, did you have time to see my email about the process of getting my coins transferred?
I got to run, Dwayne.
All right, buddy.
Just so you know. Okay.
Hasta, bro. Thanks for hanging around. I appreciate it.
All right, not a problem. I'll talk to you over the weekend.
Neil, Dwayne, did you have time to see my email about the process of getting my coins transferred into my wallet? You know, I'm going to be honest. I haven't even looked at my email. I got to get on the horn and see why this press release hasn't gone out for today yet. But, Neil, I will be happy to help you. Now, have you checked out the videos on our website, our news site, cryptodailyinfo.com? Have you had a chance to look at that? It's up at the top of the page. It says Ledger Wallets. And there's a series of videos. Now, some people said that those videos work fine for a lot of people. Other people said they found it a little bit confusing. And then a member of the audience yesterday suggested you go to YouTube, and there's a guy who's made some videos. It's Dad something, I can't remember. But Dad confused me. See, that's how different people are. Because the person yesterday goes, man, the Dad videos are awesome. It's so clear. Well, he started ahead of where I was at in the process. Because I've got some stuff that I've got to get onto this particular nano. And I'll tell you where I'm hung up. I already did the seed words, and I know how to punch the little buttons. You know, you punch one button to go up, another button to go down, and then when you want to lock something in, you push both buttons at the same time. But I seem to, and then I know how to get into the Ethereum app. But it wants my nano address. I seem to be having some difficulty with this one locating it's just like a wallet address. In fact, each nano comes with a number of wallet addresses, and it says, you know, just pick one. And then it's got stuff scrolling by. I'm assuming it's in a foreign language. It says virus and numerous. Oh, that's Latin. Somebody told me the other day what that meant. I don't remember what it was. So I'm going to work on that this weekend. Let's see. Neil says, I have seen some of them. My wallet is set up, and my Ledger Nano S is set up. I'm just waiting to load coins into my wallet. Okay. Tell you what, Neil. Now, Cindy, is that you or is it Crude? Or is it both of you? Both? Okay. Now, you guys finally got over the hump, and you got your tokens from your Ether wallet to your Nano, correct? Okay. I forget where you and I got hung up that day, but if I opened your mic for a moment, would you be willing to speak about it? Now hang on, Neil, because I got somebody right here that just went through this, and they might help us both. Now, if you don't want to take the mic and speak, that's okay. Maybe you could send it to me in an email, and I'll send it out to everybody else or something. Because I remember you and I, we got to a point and we were just, don't have a mic hooked up right now. Okay, well, could you type in real quick? We were at a roadblock. You ended up figuring it out. Was there some obviously silly thing that we were missing? See, I worked with a guy the other day for about an hour until we figured out the reason his transaction wasn't working is because he had no Ether to pay for gas in my Ether wallet. He goes, you know, I've heard about this gas and read about this gas, and he goes, what you just said, a million light bulbs went off. I totally understand. I said, well, here, let's walk through the rest of it. He goes, I don't need your help. He goes, now that I know the problem, he goes, I'll have this done in no time. So, you were at a roadblock going down your rabbit trail. Well, okay. I know I was having a rough day. As long as you got yours done, I'm okay with that. All right, any final questions, guys? I'm going to giddy up and giddy out. Oh, I want you all to make sure this little guy right here, MetaMask, highly recommended. Use your, now you can get it for Firefox or Chrome, but this MetaMask acts as an interface between you and your hardware wallet and the MyEther wallet, and it's just so much safer. So you can go to the Chrome store, type in MetaMask, it'll pop right up. It installs in a second, and then when you open it, okay, I need to log out of this thing first and foremost. When you open it, it will ask you for your password. Or let's say you had a wallet somewhere else. Restore from seed phrase. You can click that, and if you put in that seed phrase in proper order, no punctuation, all lowercase, it will move you in. It'll restore everything. When you first install MetaMask, it'll say, do you want to import an existing DIN? And if that's what you want to do, you will go get your seed phrase from MyEther wallet. You'll type those in, and then all of a sudden, whatever you had on MyEther wallet, bang, now it's in my MetaMask, or in MetaMask. Read up on it, Google it. There's a million people out there with videos and stories and articles, and it's very useful too. Our software engineers insisted that Michael and I both do this. But what's really important is once you enter MetaMask, and maybe you go to Fork Delta, before you go anywhere else, you need to log out and you need to shut this down. In fact, because I rarely use my Firefox browser, I almost always, in fact, I always use Chrome. I decided in my own best interest, because if you have MetaMask open, if you're logged in and you got the Fork Delta open or the MyEther wallet open, and you start going to other websites, you actually broadcast your address to these other sites. Now, of course, some sites aren't looking for your address, but others might be. So I'm only ever going to use my Firefox for my cryptocurrencies. It's the only time I'll ever open it up. I'll close that for now. And so Firefox is closed. I logged out before I closed. I can go surfing around all day long on my whatchamacallit. And that's about it. I think everyone will have their own issues based on their operation systems and such. I keep hitting my own roadblocks and had to keep Googling my problems and watching videos and reading articles till I got to the next issue, until I finally made it through. Now, you know, Scott brought something up to me the other day. Scott was the guest that we had on Tuesday along with Dale, and he's been a CFR partner for years. We were talking the other day, and he said, you know, Dwayne, he says, I know you don't know everything, and some of this stuff still confuses you, but you do realize that these last 9 months have brought you to a point where you do know more than probably 99% of the population. I said, okay. He goes, well, we can turn that into money. I'm like, I like the sound of that. And even you guys who have gone through these processes, I mean, that knowledge that you have is very valuable. So maybe you don't want to be a crypto consultant, and maybe you do. I don't know. But just remember the gold rush of the 1800s, Levi Strauss and the guys selling picks and shovels made a whole lot more money than the gold miners. I don't know that that's how this is going to play out, but exchanges are springing up at a rapid rate. Most governments are getting over their bad attitude. I read to you yesterday that the European Union, 22 countries in the European Union are about to do a thing. And so, good word for the day. And I gotta get so that I can do stuff. All right, we're gonna go into a little series here, a couple days, about glorifying God. Now, it's His glory, not ours. It's His righteousness, not ours. So how do we glorify God? 2 Thessalonians says that the name of our Lord Jesus may be glorified in you. One of the things I'm most thankful for this year is the Message translation. Because I'll be honest, it doesn't matter what my score was on the ASVAB, I sometimes struggle with the King's English. And also, now that I know that Jesus never said thee or thou, I really get confused. I love the Message. A couple Sundays ago, it's been a month or two ago now, our pastor was reading, well, actually, I led the opening prayer, and I used the Message translation. And then our pastor got up, and she started her message, and she was quoting from the Message translation. And this lady in back who was visiting us for the first time, and she'd been taking notes the whole time, and she stood up and she goes, you know, I've never been more insulted in my life. How dare you stand in that pulpit and quote from the Message translation? My pastor's eyes got real big. She didn't know what to say. And myself and one of the other elders. Now, I'm an elder only because I'm old. No other reason. I resigned my board seat. But we escorted her into the lobby. And she was really in a kind of a manic mood. I felt sorry for her, but I was also a little bit ticked off. One of the other guys did a much better job of trying to calm her down. And then she left. I mean, some people are that passionate about it. The King James Version, no other version. I don't want no new King James. I don't want to give. Now, when I found out the Living Bible, which I really enjoyed, remember I told you about 1990 when I turned 37, right? I came across the Living Bible and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then a couple years go by and I'm preparing a sermon for the church and I'm cross-referencing all these, different, whatever you call them, the book, the book you cross-reference the Bible. So kind of before computers, personal computers, you had all these programs. You could put all the Bibles in the world on a phone. When I found out that the scripture, some things only come out by prayer and fasting. It was when those guys said, "Hey Jesus, what's wrong? Your boys here, they can't work your magic. What's up?" And so Jesus came over and slapped the Beetlejuice out of them. And then the disciples said, "Well, hey, how come we couldn't do it?" And he told them, some things only come out by prayer and fasting. And I always thought that was a very critical, crucial scripture. But go grab a Living Bible. Look for that scripture. It hasn't been reworded. It hasn't been reworked. It's not told in a different way. It's gone. That really rattled my cage. Because I grew up with the King James. And I somehow felt that, that's not. And then I get the Living Bible. I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is cool. And then that one scripture made me lay that down. I had to do a lot of thinking. And then I did some historical study on how the King James Bible came about. That concerned me. And then I stumbled across the Message Bible one time. And I know it's one man's interpretation of what went down. And he tries to use the language that they would have actually used back then. So, I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Bach composed over 200 cantatas. Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, may be his most famous. That's interesting because I never heard of that one. Nearly 4 centuries later, it's still one of the most popular soundtracks as the bride walks down the aisle to meet her groom. I thought that was called the Wedding March or something. I've only done 1,000 weddings, but the reason his music touches your soul is because it came from his soul. But did you know his cantatas did not originate as music and that they were prayers before they were songs? I did not know that. Before he started scoring a sheet of music, he would scrawl JJ. Jesus, Jesu, Julia at the very top. It means Jesus help me. Then at the very bottom of every composition, he inscribed 3 letters, SDG. They stand for Soli Deo Gloria, to the glory of God alone. His life was a unique translation of that singular motive. And so is yours. And mine, even. Soli Deo Gloria is living for an audience of one. It's doing the right thing for the right reason. See, sometimes we do the right thing, but out of the wrong motivation. So now does that make it the wrong thing? It kind of does. All right? But we'll save that for another day. A Soli Deo Gloria is living for the applause of the nail-scarred hands. It's declaring that Jesus Christ is your all in all. Just Jesus. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. I had to wrap my brain around that after I turned 37. I had to develop the thought. Right, I wrote this on a tile in my heart. What other people think of me is none of my business. If every night when I lay my head on my pillow, if I know that I have done my very best to please God in everything that I did, then what the rest of the world thinks, it's not my business. But what I found out is that if I lived a life that was pleasing to God, yeah, there'd be some naysayers and some hecklers in the audience, but eventually they kind of lined up because they saw something that they wanted. Now, a lot of Christians walk around with stuff people don't want. They're grumbling and arguing. You going to hell. You better take that jewelry and that makeup off. You going dancing? Oh my God. And the movies? See, I grew up Pentecostal holiness. You didn't wear makeup, and well, women didn't wear makeup. You didn't go to dances. You didn't go to the movies. You didn't do much but go to church. And I don't think that's the abundant life Jesus was speaking of. Soli Deo Gloria is declaring that Jesus is your all in all. Nothing more, nothing less, and nothing else. Paul bottom lines it with this scripture, 2 Thessalonians 1:11 through 12. We constantly pray for you that our God may count you worthy of his calling, and that by his power he may fulfill every good purpose of yours and every act prompted by your faith. We pray this so that the name of our Lord Jesus may be glorified in you and you in him, according to the grace of our God. I want you to write. No, I'm going to take 1 minute. If you got a minute, hang with me a minute, and then we really got to go. Why can't I copy and paste that? Okay. All right, real quick. That last scripture was not really clear to me. I mean, I got the gist of it, but so I'm going to read that same scripture now. I'm looking it up, pasting, searching, and here we go. 2 Thessalonians, well, that wasn't, is that what, let me go back and look. 2 Thessalonians 1:11 through 12, okay. 1:11 through 12. All right. Now, from the Message, because we know that this extraordinary day is just ahead, we pray for you all the time. Pray that our God will make you fit for what he's called you to be. We pray that he'll fill your good ideas and acts of faith with his own energy so that it all amounts to something. If your life honors the name of Jesus, he will honor you. Grace is behind and through all of this. Our God giving himself freely. The Master, Jesus Christ, giving himself freely. I totally understand that. Now, I'm not saying that what I read from the other version, what was that version? That was the New International Version that I read from. I'm just saying, and this is a personal preference, I'm not saying you should go read the Message Bible. I'm just saying that I read a whole lot of different translations over the course of my life. And when I stumbled across the Message, I would spend hours walking around downtown when I still had an office there, or around my neighborhood, or up in South Mountain, climb the mountain. I would pop in my earbuds, crank up the Message Bible on my iPhone, and I could just get lost for hours, even without the these and thous. Not knocking anything, not knocking any translation. I'm just saying, personal preference, I enjoy it. You might try it and hate it. You might go, ooh, that's not the Word of God. Okay, maybe it's not. But it's gotten me through some trouble times. All right, let me see if there's any final question. Okay, here's the deal. It's the weekend. CFRN law states if you're going to be a part of this community, you must spend quality time with your family this weekend. And I will expect to see you in church on Sunday. Just kidding. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.